Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Om Vishnupad Padamansa Prad Chadrasto Satashi Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ki Jai Nam Shri Dr. Jai Prem Shri Krishna Shadi Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kundigiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gango Mai Ki Jai Shamana Mai Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Ki Jai. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari.
Welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam reading with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Monday, October 27th, 2025, and today we're beginning with Srimad Bhagavatam 4:22-54. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Guru Maharaj, you were choppy earlier and still are. The connection seems to be bad. You're on mute.
Well, all right, I'll have to save some text and restart. But maybe just I'll read the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to 53 because it's significant. Maharaj Prithu performed his karmas without attachment, Adhyatma Yogena, or being situated in the Atma, not the body. By that special power of enjoying without attachment, he produced sons. He had no agitation caused by producing sons and no lust related to his wife. So carry on, and I'll save those few texts that I need to say. Then I'll log out and log in, and I should be able.
Guru Maharaj, it's hard to hear you. We got the commentary, but then what you just said, it's hard to make it out. Should I continue with reading, or what should we do?
You can carry on, and I may have to log out.
Okay. Okay, I'll read.
Carry on, carry on.
Read the first text, 54. Okay. Vijitasvam Dhumrakasham Dhumrakasham Haryaksham Dravinam Rikam Sarvasham Loka Palanam Dadarake Pertur Gunan. Translation. After begetting 5 sons, named Vijitasva, Dhumrakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina, and Vrika, Prithu Maharaj continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who governed all other planets. Purport. In each and every planet, there is a predominating deity. It is understood from Bhagavad Gita that in the sun there is a predominating deity named Vivaswan. Similarly, there is a predominating deity of the moon and of the various planets. Actually, the predominating deities in all the other planets are descendants from the predominating deities of the sun and moon. On this planet Earth, there are 2 Kshatriya dynasties, one coming from the predominating deity of the sun, and the other from the predominating deity of the moon. These dynasties are known as Suryavamsa and Chandravamsa, respectively. When monarchy existed on this planet, the chief member was one of the members of the Surya dynasty, or Surya Vamsa, and the subordinate kings belonged to the Chandra Vamsa. However, Maharaj Prithu was so powerful that he could exhibit all the qualities of the predominating deities in other planets. In the modern age, people from Earth have tried to go to the moon, but they have not been able to find anyone there. What to speak of meeting the moon's predominating deity? The Vedic literature, however, repeatedly informs us that the moon is full of highly elevated inhabitants who are counted amongst the demigods. We are therefore always in doubt about what kind of moon adventure the modern scientists of this planet Earth have undertaken. Ramaj, do you have comments? You're frozen.
Yeah. No, okay, I'm quitting.
Okay. Okay, we'll pause for a little. I see you have a question, Pradeep. I'll say it after Guru Maharaj comes back. Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. We paused, and now we paused until you came back. So now we're just on.
Okay.
Now we're just on a question. I think, yeah, from Praveen Prabhu.
Mhm.
Can you explain the phrase mentioned, enjoying without attachment? Wouldn't enjoying implicitly mean attachment?
It appears not. Well, Oma Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Shapanantikam. The idea is that there's a certain amount of happiness and distress that come to every living entity, regardless of what we do on account of our previous activities. Some enjoyment will come, some misery will come. And the pure devotee just accepts, all right, this misery has come, Hare Krishna, or this enjoyment has come, Hare Krishna. But he doesn't become obsessed with the misery or with the happiness. It's all right, that's what comes. Just like we have some devotees who are like terribly rich, but they're Krishna conscious. So they're not like the materialists who are always thinking about money, how to increase it. All right, so we're living opulently because of previous karma, but they're not attached to that for enjoyment. It's just that's what's come. So in that way, enjoyment without attachment. I hope that clarifies.
Guru Maharaj, would you like to take the next text?
55.
55. We just read 54. Yeah.
Gopi Taya Jagat Shrishte Kale Sve Sve Chudatmaka Manobhag Vriti Somyar Gunai Samranjayan Prajaha. Since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects, his words, mentality, works, and gentle behavior. Purport. As will be explained in the next verse, Prithu Maharaj used to please all kinds of citizens by his extraordinary capacity to understand the mentality of others. Indeed, his dealings were so perfect that every one of the citizens was very much satisfied and lived in complete peace. The word Achutatmaka is significant in this verse, where Maharaj Prithu used to rule this planet as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knew that he was the representative of the Lord and that the Lord's creation must be protected intelligently. Atheists cannot understand the purpose behind the creation. Although this material world is condemned when it's compared to the spiritual world, there's still some purpose behind it. Modern scientists and philosophers cannot understand that purpose, nor do they believe in the existence of a creator. They try to establish everything by their so-called scientific research. but they do not center anything around the Supreme Creator. A devotee, however, can understand the purpose of creation, which is to give facilities to the individual living entities who want to lord it over material nature. The ruler of this planet should therefore know that all the inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. It is therefore the duty of the ruler to satisfy them in their sense enjoyment, as well as to elevate them to Krishna consciousness, so that all can ultimately return home, back to Godhead. With this idea in mind, the king or government head should rule the world. In this way, everyone will be satisfied. How can this be accomplished? There are many examples like Prithu Maharaj, and the history of his regency on this planet is elaborately described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Even in this fallen age, if the rulers and presidents take advantage of Prithu Maharaj's example, there will certainly be a reign of peace and prosperity throughout the world. The Manobhag Vriti Somyar, by his gentle activities, by his qualities, by the activities of his mind, his speech, and his work, the Prithu Maharaj pleased the citizens by engaging them in suitable activities. In the Nena Prasavishadvam Eshabos Vishtakamad Deva Bhavyata Nena Te Deva Bhavyantu. In the Bhagavad Gita, it said that the Lord of all creatures, either Brahma or Vishnu, take your pick, sent forth generations of men and demigods and said, be happy by yajna. So Prithu Maharaj engaged all of the citizens in suitable activities so that their material desires would be satisfied and they could advance in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Ramesh,
Mm-hmm.
can you elaborate on the need for the ruler to satisfy the material desires more?
Yeah, it's not just that we say, okay, be happy spiritually, and your material needs are not going to be met. But everything should be there. These citizens, their material requirements will be amply met, and spiritually they'll advance. On my slippers. That's the idea. Just like Prabhupada created a center in Vrindavan, a center in Mayapur. And the idea was, he knew that the Western devotees can't live to the Indian standard. They've come from a different background. They have different bodies. So they're, along with, as we were discussing, according to karma, different standard of enjoyment will be there. So they're coming from Western countries, they're expecting, or they're accustomed to a certain standard of for a certain standard of meeting their bodily requirements. So Prabhupada arranged for that. He didn't say no. He just looked like India. He arranged that material needs of the devotees would be met, and spiritually they could advance.
Some things in the chat. Praveen Prabhu writes, we see that the management do favor the sense gratification of some devotees to gain their favor. This is normal? Question mark.
Well,
Taking from this purport.
the question is heavily stacked because already why are they doing it? To get their favor. So, and they're seen to the sense gratification of some devotees. So already basically you've framed the question in such a way that I have to say that they're bad, that they're doing the wrong thing, and so on. But managers may see that this devotee needs this devotee needs that. If they get this, they'll do their service very nicely. If they get less, they won't be able to manage. So an expert manager, I remember when the BBT moved from New York to Los Angeles. Not that we were all that eager to go, but anyway, we went. And before we got there, we were asked, tell us what you need for your service. And when we got there, everything we needed was already in place. If it was a sleeping bag, if it was a desk with a certain kind of chair, if it was a special kind of prasadam, if it was not very much of anything, but whatever it was all there. So practically all we had to do is just move in and keep serving. We didn't have to run around and say, can you handle my diet? What am I going to do about this? I need a chair. I need this, I need that. It was all provided. Expert management. So that all we had to do is move in and boom, continue our service. And it was like that. There was practically not a lapse at all because everything was provided. So that's expert management. It's not that the managers were trying to, get something from us, get some special favors or no. They wanted to see that we were nicely situated so that we could do our service. So if the expert managers are doing that, if they're seeing that this devotee needs this devotee needs that, and they're arranging, what's wrong there? And it may be that some devotee needs more, some devotee needs less. That's also not sinful. Just it should be arranged in such a way that everyone's serving nicely. That doesn't mean we're extravagant and we just throw money at everyone who wants to enjoy at the expense of the BBT or the expense of the temple. Not like that, but providing the necessities. And the necessities may differ from person to person. Hare Krishna.
Praveen Prabhu asks, so it's not necessarily bad if the manager favors someone while maintaining others with the basics.
Yeah, he may see this person needs a little more. This person, just give him the basics and he'll be good. And this person needs a little more for one reason or another, or needs something special or needs something different. It doesn't mean that the manager is playing favorites. If he gives the elephant a ton of sugar and he gives the ant a few grains, it's not because he's favoring the elephant, it's because the elephant needs more. Someone needs more prasadam, someone needs or something else, whatever it may be, needs a quiet space or needs an assistant or needs whatever it is. So it's not that if we're meeting the needs of the various devotees, and if those needs are different, we're playing favorites or something like that. It's just the expert manager sees this is what that person needs. And then he'll do his service very nicely. And again, it's a judgment call. It's not that just tell us what you need and we'll spend thousands of dollars for your sense enjoyment. But if the practical necessities, and you may decide, well, practical necessities of this person are more than we can afford, maybe legitimate, we just don't have the budget. I have Pradumna sitting next to me. He's the temple president of Leicester in the UK. He's nodding, so I've got managerial approval for these things. That's how it is. We may look at it and say, yes, these are legitimate needs. We can't meet them. We can't expect the temple to pay for these things. So he should work outside. He should make some other arrangement. Or if we say this is really what we need, just like a cook, sometimes cooks are in short supply. So we say, all right, we'll pay this cook, and maybe we'll pay more than some people might think is appropriate. But without the cook, everything will stop. And so if a cook needs a little bit more, we'll spend. That's the kind of decision that one may make. Or one says, sorry, but we'll cook ourselves because we can't afford to spend this kind of money on you. That's managerial intelligence. One has to decide. Sometimes we refuse to spend what someone needs, and then we wind up in trouble because we have no one to do the work that needs to be done. So we stuck to our principles, but then wound up in greater difficulty. So again, these are all the things that an expert manager has to weigh and consider, and then it's up to him to make a decision. But it's not really up to us to second guess the managers all the time and criticize them. Oh, they're spending $50 a month more on this person because they're playing favorites and da-da-da. No, he's made a judgment, assuming he's, a sensible person. He's made a judgment. He's considered the pros and cons, and now he's made a decision. And that's his service. So let him do his service, and we should do our service. Hare Krishna.
We could use the phrase of ensuring people are well situated.
Pradumna says we can use express this as by saying that we should see that people are well situated. Just like it may be to the advantage of the temple to see that this person stays a brahmachari so that we can get his service and not pay anything. But a person who doesn't have that bias looks and says, this person really needs to be married. But we don't want him to be married because it's going to expand our budget. That's not really fair. We have to see that the person is well situated. Someone will be well situated as a brahmachari. Someone will be well situated as a householder. And not that we have to place the needs of our particular establishment so far ahead of the person's needs that his life becomes miserable. We have to see that everyone is well situated in Krishna consciousness. The spiritual master has to see as far as possible that the disciples are well situated. This person has this service, this person has that service. That's what we try to do.
Raj was okay. Something in the chat. Praveen Prabhu writes, another way to see those who get things done get more ...
They may get more. They may not need more. They may not take more. There are those who get things done and they don't take anything. Practically, just a little meager prasadam and a little corner in which to live. And then there are those who don't do very much and they want all kinds of facility. And then there are those who do a lot, but they also need facility. So it's not just that we have just play by the rule book. It's important to know what the considerations are, not just that we're playing in the dark. But the expert knows when to adjust, how much to adjust, when not to adjust, when not to give an inch, when to give a lot of latitude. Yeah, sometimes a person just needs more. Sometimes there's some situation, temporary situation, needs to be given some space. And then, all right, the situation passes and now he's still on your team and he's doing more than ever. But if you decided that no space for this man, he can't take a week or something to sort out his affairs because every week is vicious, then you may lose the man entirely. Yeah, to sort out some kind of affairs or what happened. So again, it's the responsibility of expert manager to see, is this person just taking advantage of the temple and living at the expense of the institution? Or is this person serving nicely and just needs a little more? This is management. One has to see all these things.
Raj, you're choppy again.
Nothing I can do about it then. There's just landed in New York. I haven't negotiated the various internet connections. The one that's probably best has changed his password, and tomorrow should be better, I hope.
Raj, would somebody there like to read?
Maybe, but you just told me that my internet connection is choppy.
Right. Well, it might help if you turn your video off, so then we can't see you, but then we can hear you possibly better.
Is this better now?
Yeah, it sounds all right.
Okay. So we're starting text 56.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, come a little closer, please.
Text 56.
Sanskrit.
Rajetyadhan namatyayam somaraja ivaparaha survayavad vishajan kirnan pratapamscha bhuvo vasho. Maharaj Prithu became as celebrated as a king as Somaraja, the king of the moon. He was also powerful and exciting, just like the sun god, who distributes heat and light and at the same time exacts all the planetary waters. Purport. In this verse, Maharaj Prithu is compared to the kings of the moon and sun. The king of the moon and the king of the sun serve as examples of how the Lord desires the universe to be ruled. The sun distributes heat and light, and at the same time exacts water from all planets. The moon is very pleasing at night, and when one becomes fatigued after a day's labor in the sun, he can enjoy the moonshine. Like one God, Prithu Maharaj distributed his heat and light to give protection to his kingdom, for without heat and light, no one can exist. Similarly, Prithu Maharaj exacted taxes and gave such strong orders to the citizens and government that no one had the power to disobey him. On the other hand, he pleased everyone, just like the moonshine. Both the sun and the moon have particular influences by which they maintain order in the universe, and scientists and philosophers should become familiar with the Supreme Lord's perfect plan for universal maintenance.
Want to say something about it?
What stood out for me was how Prithu Maharaj imbibed both the light, the light as well as the heat, and took on the quality of the sun and the moon. Again, in the same context of satisfying all the citizens and all the living beings.
So why did he restrict? The sun is hot and what would you say? Yeah, the sun is hot, but compared to the sun, very strict, very exacting. The sun exacts water from the seas. And on the other side, the moon is soothing, the moon is pleasing. So he liked the moon because he provided everything needed for the happiness of the citizens. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sasi Surya Netra, your universal form, the sun and the moon are his eyes. So with one eye he's being very strict, and with the other eye he's being very pleased. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Now for text 57. Saraswati Mataji, would you like to read?
Pranams Param Puji Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. Text 57.
Before you go there, I was just thinking more about Praveen's question. Some people get more. One thing is we shouldn't be envious. Sometimes we see that someone's getting more, and then the immediate thing is, well, I'm doing more than he is. Why is he getting more than I am? And so we become envious. Why is he getting more? So we should be careful of that. Not to say that you're envious, but sometimes that's there, that we're unhappy that somebody's getting more, we're unhappy that somebody has a bigger room or more facility or has a machine that we don't have. Because we're envious, we won't, why am I not getting that? And then we become critical. Why is he being, this is irresponsible, this is bad management, blah, blah, blah. It's not bad management, it's our own envy. We should be careful of it. Okay, carry on.
Text 57. Durtarashas tejasvagnir mahendraiva durjayaha titikshaya dharitriva tayoriva bhishtado nrinam Translation: Maharaj Prithu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is inseparable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself. Purport: it is the duty of a king to give protection to the citizens and to fulfill their desires. At the same time, the citizens must obey the laws of the state. Maharaj Prithu maintained all the standards of good government, and he was so invincible that no one could disobey his orders any more than a person could stop heat and light emanating from a fire. He was so strong and powerful that he was compared to the king of heaven, Indra. In this age, modern scientists have been experimenting with nuclear weapons, and in a former age, they used to release Brahmastras. But all these Brahmastras and nuclear weapons are insignificant compared to the thunderbolt of the king of heaven. When Indra releases a thunderbolt, even the biggest hills and mountains crack. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was as tolerant as the earth itself, and he fulfilled all the desires of his citizens, just like torrents of rain from the sky. Without rainfall, it is not possible to fulfill one's various desires on this planet. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.14, Parajanyad ana sambhavaha. Food grains are produced only because the rain falls from the sky. And without grains, no one on the earth can be satisfied. Consequently, an unlimited distribution of mercy is compared to the water falling from the clouds. Maharaj Prithu distributed his mercy incessantly, much like rainfall. In other words, Maharaj Prithu was softer than a rose flower and harder than a thunderbolt. In this way, he ruled over his kingdom. Om Gyanantimirindasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. President Lincoln is attributed to having said something along the lines of, "You can please some people all the time, or all of the people some of the time. Never all the people all the time." This does not apply to Maharaj Prithu. He was able to please all the people all the time. And the reason is because he was a Mahabhagavata devotee. And Mahabhagavata devotees are indispensable. He's already been compared to the two great progenitors of Surya Vansh and Chandra Vansh already. And we know that there have been a lot of great kings that descended from these two lineages, but it isn't that all the people and all the descendants from these powerful Kshatriya lineage were devotees. We know, for instance, that even during Krishna's time, there were a lot of non-devotee kings, even Dhritarashtra, Kamsa, Jarasan. But it didn't matter that they had descended from such a powerful dynasty. That wasn't enough to qualify them to become ideal rulers. It's one consideration, but the most important consideration is the fact that they have to be, these Raj Rishis have to be pure devotees, because only then can they be very expert at leading the Brajas forward and progress in Krishna consciousness. They're completely aware of how these three gunas influence people in different ways, and their expertise is seen when they have the ability to make sure that everyone can progress, no matter where they are or what their background is. And this is very important, because once you've tried and completed this mission of Krishna to give people, the conditional souls, the best chance to become devotees, you have pleased Krishna. And in following Krishna's instructions, you are associating with Krishna all the time. Therefore, you are definitely getting good intelligence and skills and the power to carry out the duties and the mission of Krishna. We see that here Maharaj Prithu is, he's declared as someone that no one can obstruct, no one can defeat, no one can oppose his determination in making sure that people are situated in a position from which they can become Krishna conscious. They've talked about Indra, another principal demigod, and how his iconic weapon, the Vajra, that can tear apart mountains, hills, such a powerful weapon. And it's clearly stated that Maharaj Prithu had at his disposal anything and everything that could help him to establish the Yuga Dharma of that era. And of course, starting with Varna Ashram, he was able to successfully establish that. He was able to attain this complete synergy between all the different Varnas and Ashrams because the goal was clear. People had to progress to become Krishna conscious and become reinstated in their eternal constitutional position as a loving servant of Krishna. Also, Srila Prabhupada talks about rainfall, and we all know how important rainfall is in the production of food grains. Food grains is also one indispensable item in the food chain for the survival of all species, really. And it's said how Prithu Maharaj was able to distribute mercy in the form of, we already know that there was no shortage of food sustenance for the prajas, but the fact that he was so merciful in the way that rain falls from the sky there, it's just an abundance of water that just falls in a quantity that is perfect for the optimum production of food grains. In such a way, he was as compassionate, as merciful, that would fulfill Krishna's purpose for the conditional souls. He was also so tolerant. So these are some of the great qualities that devotees have. It's not that they have to separately try and develop these qualities. These qualities automatically come once one is determined and serious about serving Krishna. So we understand that some of these great qualities are also being tolerant. As Mother Earth, Bhumi Mata, she is so tolerant, and she's able to take on the burden of all the species of life. And so he was very tolerant. And why was he tolerant? Because he understood completely the purpose of the creation of the material universe, the Lord's a desire to reclaim all the fallen souls, and therefore he understood the psychology of the different people and how best to get them to that position where they can become pure devotees. This was very important. Srila Prabhupada talks at the end of how he was softer than a rose and harder than a thunderbolt. Of course, sometimes Srila Prabhupada is also described as such as well. These are some of my comments. Guru Maharaj, if you have some comments, corrections, please. Hare Krishna.
We see that as an incarnation of Krishna, Prithu Maharaj showed the qualities of various demigods. He was powerful. He was powerful. And yes, same point, that he was very strict, but the citizens were satisfied because their desires, their needs were all met. Hare Krishna.
Praveen Prabhu writes, since he was strict, he would have severely punished the offenders. Wouldn't that make enemies? And who can control the envious?
Yes, that one might make enemies that way, but it's a matter of duty. It's not that we can't punish thieves because the thieves will be unhappy. It's our duty. It's our duty. It's not that he's Yes, it's a matter of duty. So even if those who deserve punishment may not like it, it's the duty of the king. Who can control the envious? Indeed, it's harder to control an envious person than to control a venomous serpent. But as far as possible, the king, capable king, sees that envious persons can't derail matters.
Okay, we have a few things now in the chat. Does a devotee endeavor for satisfaction with less things? Praveen Prabhu writes.
Does a devotee aim at satisfaction with less things? Yes. What is that? Manaprasada somyatam, a austerity in the mode of goodness for the mind is to be satisfied. Manaprasada somyatam, to be simple and to be satisfied. So the devotee, so that's an austerity that, all right, I'll be satisfied with what comes of its own accord. Yadrich jalabha santushta. That's a qualification of a devotee. He's satisfied with what comes. Hare Krishna.
Okay, final question for Kirtan. Murari Gupta Prabhu writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, what is that quality that some people have that makes it very difficult for others to disobey them? Sometimes demons have it, so it doesn't seem to be necessarily purity and Krishna consciousness.
Ruling power, just like Dhammagosh, the father of Shishupal. He's given that name because he could really control the citizens. So that's not, so yes, it's a particular kind of talent. The Kshatriyas, there may be Kshatriyas who are not very Krishna conscious, but they're Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas. Just like Arjuna, he was on the wrong side, but he was a Kshatriya. He was powerful. So, yes.
Okay, shall we pause here for Kirtan? Saraswati Mashi, would you like to ask your question tomorrow? Since it's time for Kirtan.
Yes, it was just actually just to comment that it's only the devotees that can bring out and motivate us to be the best version of ourselves. A demoniac ruler cannot do that. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, do you have anybody there for a live Kirtan?
Anyone want to do live kirtan? Hey, just no comment.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada
Jai Om Vishnuvad Purnamans Parivraj Charja Stotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayādvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kuniki Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Ramana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Ki Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.